Hello and welcome to my channel Distinctive Crochet. My name is Priscilla and today we're going to be making this surprisingly easy crochet cabled hat. And I do have a written pattern for this available for purchase on Ravelry, so I will go ahead and link that down below. And I will also have a tutorial for a matching cowl coming up pretty soon, and when that is available I will link it down below as well. This hat is available in 3 adult sizes only, small, medium, and large, and I will have the instructions for each size on the screen. So please make sure you follow the correct size that you will be needing for this tutorial. And also this hat will be worked flat, and then it will be sewn, seamed up, and cinched closed. So I do recommend a pom-pom, but it's not necessary. You could just sew the top closed, and you could also leave the top open for a messy bun option. So you will definitely need to know how to do the front post and back post stitches, but I do explain how to work the cable stitch if you're new to that. But I also have a separate tutorial for the cable stitch that I will link down below in case you need more help. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the materials for this tutorial. For this tutorial you will need some worsted weight, a double strand of worsted weight yarn or a number 5 bulky, and I will leave the amounts on the screen for each size that you will need. You will also need a pom-pom, a measuring tape, a yarn needle, a number 9mm crochet hook, and a pair of scissors. To get started with this tutorial, you're going to need to chain some stitches. So I have the directions for each size in parentheses, and this is how they will come on the screen from now on. So if you're on the outside of the parentheses, that number is for the small size hat. The first number inside the parentheses is for the medium, and the last number is for the large. So please make sure you take note of which size you'll be working, and then go ahead and chain up that number of stitches. Alright, so now you have the number you need. Go ahead and flip it over to the back. So here's the front with the V's, and now we're just going to flip it over to the back and find the second chain from the hook. So here's 1, 2, and we're going to go right in there and put a half double crochet, and then a half double crochet in each chain across. I have the number of half doubles that you should end up with for your size on the screen. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back. Okay, so I made it back, and I have the number of stitches that I need for my size. So now we're just going to go ahead and chain up 1 and turn, and this is row 1. So we're going to half double crochet in the first 3 stitches. Here's 2 and 3. So now we're going to do some alternating front post and back post stitches, and I will post the number that you need to do for your size. So you're going to always start off with the front post no matter what size you're working. So this is the first stitch here that I need to do a front post around. So I'm just going to start off with that front post and then alternate it with the back post, and just keep doing that for the number of stitches that was on the screen for your size. So I'm just alternating those front post and back post stitches for the number I need for my size. Okay, so once you have completed the number of alternating front post and back post that you need for your size, the next thing that all sizes will do is we're going to go ahead and make 2 front post stitches over the next 2 stitches. So here's 1 and 2. And now we need to make a back post over the next 4 stitches, and this is for all sizes. So back post around the next 4 stitches. Here's 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and again for all sizes, the next 2 stitches need to be a front post. So here's 1 and 2. And now in the very last stitch, we're going to put a half double crochet. So right there, we'll put a half double crochet. Alright, so this is going to be row 2 that we're starting. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And we're going to do a half double crochet in the very first stitch. Alright, so now over the next 2 stitches, we're going to work 2 back post double crochet stitches. So here's the first back post double crochet. And here's the next back post double crochet. So this, the directions I'm saying will be for all sizes unless I have separate instructions on the screen. Now we're getting ready to work our first cable, so we're going to yarn over twice to do a front post treble crochet, and we're going to be working around this 3rd stitch here. So we're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to work right around this 3rd stitch here. So go in as if to do a front post stitch, and you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2 to finish off the treble. So now we're going to do it again right around the next stitch. So yarn over twice and go in to do a front post and pull through 2 or 3 times to finish off your treble. And now we're going to come back and pick up the 2 stitches that we skipped. We're going to grab the very first stitch that we skipped. So we're going to yarn over twice and work over top of the 2 stitches we just made. And we're going to go in as if to do a front post and finish it off by pulling through 2 or 3 times. So now we're going to come back and pick up that last stitch. So yarn over twice and go in as to do a front post, and then pull through 2 or 3 times to finish off that treble. Okay, so now our stitches are across and we have completed that cable. So now we're going to do the next 2 stitches in a back post double crochet. So there's 1 and here's the 2nd. Okay, and now we're going to do the right stitch. So which is if you did a front post around that stitch, you're going to back post that stitch. And you're going to do that for the number of stitches that I have on the screen for your size. So for each stitch that you have, if it's a front post, you're going to make it a back post, and if it's a back post, you're going to make it a front post. So that's pretty much all you do for the right stitch. So you're just alternating front post and back post. So this stitch here I did a back post, so now I'm going to do a front post around it. And so this stitch here is a front post, so we're going to put a back post around it. Alright, oh, I have one more, so we're going to make that one a front post. Okay, so now in the last 3 stitches, we're going to go ahead and do a half double crochet in the last 3. Alright, so now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and this was the start of row 3. So we're going to half double in the first 3 stitches. And now we're going to do the right stitch over the next stitches that you need for your size, which is that alternating front post and back post. If it's a front post, make it a back post. If it's a back post, make it a front post. So do that for the number of stitches that you need for your size. Okay, so now the 2 stitches right before the cable, you're going to make those a front post, double crochet. So that is for all sizes. And now for the cables here, we're just going to untwist them. So we're just going to work a back post double crochet around each stitch right in order as they appear. So just go ahead and work a back post double crochet around each of those next 4 stitches of that cable. Okay, and for the next 2 stitches, you're going to do a front post double crochet. And in the very last stitch, we'll just work a half double crochet. And we're going to chain 1 and turn. And now this is row number 4. So we're just going to do a half double crochet in the very first stitch. And the next 2 stitches will be a back post double crochet. And for this row, we're not going to cross the cables again, so we're just going to work front post double crochets. So I'll just work the front post double crochet over the next 4 stitches. And then around the next 2 stitches, we're going to work back post stitches, back post double crochet. So here's 1 and 2, back post double crochet. And now we're going to work the right stitch for the number of stitches that you need for your size. So just make it a front post if it's a back post, and a back post if it's a front post. Okay, so I'm going to work this last stitch here. Oops. And now we need to go ahead and put a half double crochet in the last 3 stitches. So now we're just going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. And this is going to be row 5. So we're going to work a half double crochet in the first 3 stitches. And then we're going to right stitch over the number of stitches that you need for your size. Okay, I got 1 more here. So now the next 2 stitches need to be a front post double crochet. Okay, and now over the next 4 stitches, we're going to work 4 back post double crochets. So over the next 4 stitches, back post double crochet. Alright, so now we're going to work 2 front post double crochets. And then in this very last stitch, we're going to go ahead and work a half double crochet. Alright, so now all you need to do is just go ahead and go back to row 2 and then repeat rows 2 through 5 for the number of times that is needed for your size, and I will have that on the screen. So it's just a repeat for those rows 2 through 5, and I will have the timestamps in the description box, so you can just go ahead and click on that and go back to row 2. It'll be easy to find. And then you just work those same rows over and over again for the number that I had listed on the screen for your size. And then once you finish the number that you need, you'll just repeat row 2 and 3 once more. And be sure not to fasten off, because we're going to go back and seam the sides together so that we can get a hat. But I'll be back to show you what to do for that in just a moment. Alright, so I made it back and I have the number of repeats for my size, and I am measuring right at about 21 inches for the medium size. So you can go ahead and measure yours to make sure that you have the number of inches you need for your size. And I'm going to be using my crochet hook to seam it up, and you can see what it looks like from this hat here that I've done already. So if you don't like that seam, you could always just go ahead and sew it up with a regular yarn needle, or if you have a favorite way to seam, go ahead and do it that way. So to do this seam, you're going to make sure that your cable is on the inside of the hat, and you're going to fold it over so that both ends are matching and meeting up. And then we're just going to use our crochet hook to seam it up. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is just slip stitch it closed. Whoops. Alright, so I'm just going to go in the first stitch here. Oh, let me get my yarn behind the hook. Okay, so now I'm just going to go right into this first stitch here and make a slip stitch. Alright, and now I'm going to turn it back the other way so that I can go up in the direction that I need. And then I'm just going to work in the front loop of the stitch that's closest to me and the back loop of the stitch that's further away. And then I'm just going to go through and then pull through to slip stitch it closed. So the front loop near me and the back loop that's away, and then slip stitch it closed. So the front loop that's near me and the back loop that's further away, and then slip stitch it closed. Okay, so I'll just show you one more. So the front loop of the one near me and the back loop that's further away, and slip stitch it closed. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish mine off camera, and then I'll be back to show you what to do next. Alright, and I made it back. So I have mine completely seamed all the way up, and I ended up at the top of the hat. So if for some reason you don't end up at the top of your hat, that's fine. For right now, if you are at the top of your hat, go ahead and trim off about 12 to 15 inches of yarn so that you can use it to cinch up the hat. So I'm just going to cut mine here and fasten off. Now if you're not at the top of your hat, you don't have to have such a long tail. Just go ahead and fasten off, but then you will need to reattach the yarn at the top of your hat so that you can cinch it closed. So the top of the hat is where we have the 3 half double crochets, and that's how you know that's the top. So what we're going to do now is turn it inside out and grab your tail to cinch it up, and here's what the seam looks like on the back of the hat. And I'm just going to grab that tail and grab my yarn needle so that we can get ready to cinch up the top. So I'm just going to pull that through and thread the needle. Alright, so at the top of the hat, you just want to go through the very edge of the stitches. If you didn't end up at the top, just go ahead and reattach your yarn somewhere. And then you want to go right at the edge of that row at the top, and you're just going to weave the yarn in and out. And right off the edge so that you can make it easier to cinch close. So I'm just going to keep, oops, I have to rethread my needle. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and keep going back and forth, weaving all the way around until you get back to the other side, and that way you'll be able to cinch the hat completely closed. All right, so now that you have that made it all the way around, just go ahead and then do one more stitch across the seam so that it matches on the other side. All right, and then you can take your needle off, and then you're just going to go ahead and give the tail a gentle tug until you can get it all the way closed. Or you can go ahead and leave a gap open for a messy bun. So you can leave just a small gap like that for a messy bun hat. And then you would just tie a knot and then sew in the ends. Or you can just keep pulling and closing it up. So this might not cinch completely closed, but that's okay. So you can take the tail and then use it to weave it across the top and close it up. But for me, I'm going to be leaving a tiny hole to attach this button for the pom-pom. So right here I left just a small enough hole just so I can get the button through. So I didn't close it completely, I just left a small hole for the button. So it's up to you if you want to sew it completely closed or leave a small hole for the button. So I just used the tail to sew up that area and left a hole right there for the button to go into, and that way you can remove the pom-pom as necessary. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this one here. And then once you have the top sewn up, then your hat will be complete. So I'm just going to remove that pom-pom so that I can show you how to fit on this hat, and I'm going to sew this up, and then I'll be right back so you can see. All right, so I'm just going to show you how to close this up here. So just making sure I'm grabbing a little bit on each side so that I can pull it closed. Okay, there we go. And grab a loop from this side here. Yep. And then pull it closed, pull it tight. And just going back across. So I'm just closing it up just enough so that I have a smaller space for the button. That way the button won't slip out easily. But if you didn't want to attach a pom-pom, then you can just continue to close it all the way up, just like this. Alright, so this looks pretty good here. So I'm just going to try this and see if this is good enough. Alright, so this button is attached to this pom-pom, so I'm just going to go ahead and slip the button through the hole and make sure it's not too big so that the button doesn't just slip through. So let me make sure it's all the way through on the inside. Alright, now I'm just going to give it a gentle tug to make sure it doesn't come out. Alright, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that's pretty good for me. So now all I would have to do is just weave in all of my ends, and then the hat will be complete. Alright, so here you have your completed surprisingly easy crochet cabled hat. You just have to weave in your ends. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that you make many of these hats in lots of different colors. They make great gifts and they're super quick and easy to make. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Thanks again for coming along with me on this tutorial, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.